Okay, I'm going to resume making these videos. The title of this video is Why I'm No Longer a Muslim. So, why am I no longer a Muslim? First of all, Islam has the death penalty for apostates. A lot of Western converts to Islam don't know that. And they play a game with themselves where they'll talk about a certain phrase in the Quran which says there's no compulsion on religion, and they'll ignore the hadith and the sunnah which talks about the death penalty for apostates. And I'll get back to that. I'll make a second video in detail about the fact that there is death penalty for apostates and exactly what Westerners should look for evidence of that. This is, not a secret. Anyone who really knows anything about the Islamic world should know this stuff. There's little excuse, for these people who engage in make-believe here, converting to Islam, pretending to be experts about a religion that they really don't know anything about. They're incompetent, and they should be quiet and stop talking about a subject they know nothing about. So really, that was one of the first things that caused me to really back away from the religion. I have no sympathy for a religion that kills people for leaving it. I simply cannot agree with that or support it. And that itself caused me to really be turned off about Islam. And some people out there, weak-brained people who are weak-minded, will defend Islam and say, either deny that it does that or defend the fact that it does that. But I'm not like them. I refuse to defend such a thing. I don't care what anyone thinks about that. I don't have to care if someone doesn't like that. The fact that I don't practice the religion and I don't give a damn about what anyone thinks about it. The fact that I don't practice the religion. I was born in America. My mother's American, white American. To hell with the Islamic world. They can kiss my ass. So, having said all that, there are other reasons why I'm no longer a Muslim, or I no longer believe in it. First of all, I was really born into the religion. My father is Muslim. So I really never had a choice. I never really got to compare the religion with any other religion or to even question the idea that God exists. I never got a chance to do this. I was circumcised without my permission. So, because of a stupid garbage from over 1,000 years ago by someone who doesn't know me, I have to, their decision impacted my life in other ways, not just that way, in other ways too. There's a circumcision of the mind as well that the religion does to people. It causes them not to be curious. It causes them not to question things and not to doubt things. Instead, it encourages them to accept everything that the religion says as true and to doubt everything that contradicts it, which is very unscientific and should give you an idea of why the Islamic world has produced nothing. No discoveries and very little science at all. People will point to, something that happened several hundred years ago, like some chemists or something. There's no evidence that those people were particularly religious. The people in Baghdad who were, coming up with the things like algebra and all that, we have no evidence that they were religious at all, any more than a lot of people in the West are religious. And if you look at the Arabian Nights, the Thousand Nights and a Night, these tales, they were written and popularized in the Islamic world. This is essentially pornography. This shows that the Islamic world was not always that religious, and it had periods of the same sort of thing you see in the West now, which the Islamic world incidentally condemns: the openness, the licentiousness, the permissiveness. The Islamic world once had that. Rich Islamic merchants, had probably had sensual very, very sensual lives. They were probably the equivalent of what went on in ancient Rome. Homosexuality was has been, present in the Islamic world, not just extramarital sex or sexual licentiousness, but there are other reasons. Let me get back to this. There are other reasons why I left the religion. One of the most important ones was the fact that apostates are killed or are supposed to be killed. Another thing, of course, is that Muhammad, their prophet, had more than four wives. You're not supposed to have more than four wives if you're a Muslim. Yet Muhammad had more than four wives, and he had many more concubines apparently. I talked to Muslims about this, and they justify it by saying he was such a great man, and he did this to care for the women, to take care of them because they didn't have any husbands and they were widowed at, under extraordinary circumstances during wars and whatnot. Okay, so why can't I do the same? Why can't I have 9 wives out of my kindness, out of my desire to take care of women? Because in Islam the Prophet is considered to be greater than everyone else. He's put above you. I don't accept that. I don't accept any human being to be put above me, to be, made a rank above me. This is part of Middle Eastern culture. You're supposed to bow down and kiss people's butts. You're supposed to worship someone and bend your knee to them, and all this other crap. Kiss their hand. I mean, this is rampant in the Islamic world. In Iran, the Ayatollahs get their hands kissed by their stupid followers. I think that's ridiculous. I can't stand that stuff. I think it's garbage and stupid. I think it's beneath me. I view those people as inferior. Anyone who has merit doesn't need people to bow down to them like that. I don't kiss the hand of a nuclear physicist, and he's far more educated and knows a lot more and is far smarter than any idiot Ayatollah in Iran. Which brings me to a third problem. The religious leaders in the Islamic world are total idiots. They're uneducated. They don't mentally live in this modern world. I'll give you an example. In Iran, we went to see Ayatollah Meshkini in Qom when I was a kid. I was sitting in the room, and people were there, university professors. My father was one of them, sitting in the room. They were there to talk to the big Ayatollahs in Qom about the problem of the Islamic societies in the university who were extremists and who were causing problems for other people in the university by making themselves the law basically and telling people what to do. And the university professors, their position was that they should run the university. They should be administering it, not political activist groups. So we were sitting in the room, and Ayatollah Mashkini is sitting there looking all pompous and majestic. He's used to people kissing his butt and not questioning anything he says, obviously. It's just stupid. I mean, I have no respect for a culture where no one can question what some authority figure thinks. One of the students there asks him, Ayatollah Mashkini, is it permissible for us to uh, um, perform autopsies or to dissect cadavers in medical school? And Ayatollah Mashkini says, no, what's the use? He said that in front of me. Nah, chifaydı, more like this, very superior looking, like that. And the student tried to reason with him and say, look, no, what if somebody died and they want to discover why the person died? As in the case of an autopsy. And Meshkini interrupted him, Ayatollah Meshkini. This is a grand Ayatollah, by the way. He's like revered and bowed down to by all these people. They like kiss his butt. And not literally, but they never question anything he says. If you disagree with him, they'll be angry at you. And he said, no, what's the use? There's no use to find out why someone died. This is a grand Ayatollah, and he doesn't know that in Tehran there's a institution that it was had been around for decades. Legal medicine, uh, the, the place where they do the autopsies in Tehran. What do they call that again? I can't remember in English. In Farsi, they say Pezeshia Qanuni, place where they take the dead people and they do the autopsies. I'll remember what it is in English later on. Pezeshia Qanuni is what they call it in Iran. It's a pathologist comes and or whoever, and they do an autopsy on the body, or whoever tests the organs and everything. So this guy didn't know. I mean, that Tehran has such a thing. He he's completely clueless about what's going on in his own country. That there's a place where the autopsies are done by doctors to see why people died, and this is part of the legal system in Iran, and has been that way for decades, and he doesn't know it. And people consult with that guy over what to do, over the flimsiest and stupidest things, because they have no brain to make a decision on their own. It's stupid. Nobody should be consulting that idiot. He may know about Islam, he may know about his religion, that's it. He should not, be consulted about what to do in a university or in a scientific field or in a scientific discipline. People like that are poison to a society that wants to progress. Now you have these idiots here in America or in Europe who convert to Islam and they've never seen Islam in action. They've never lived in an Islamic country. They've never lived under Islamic law. They know nothing about it. They're free to fantasize about what it's like in their imagination, like American Buddhists or these nutty Americans who convert to Hinduism or Sikhism or any of these people who convert to a religion but really never live at its mercy or under its law. They stay in America or Europe, live in a society, in a Western society, and engage in fantasy, make believe. They pretend they're experiencing something else. I went to an Islamic country. I lived under Islamic law, and I think it's bullshit. You can stay here in the West and fantasize and jack off, pretend that you're experiencing Islam. You're not. You're not experiencing Islam. Don't fool yourself. If you had any guts, you'd go to an Islamic country, live under their law, and see what it's really like. So there are so many things that are wrong with Islam. One of them is that Muslims are just stupid. They're inferior. They haven't progressed. Why are they emigrating to the West? Because they can't build their own societies, their own countries. They can't modernize themselves. They can't industrialize themselves. Why? Why can't they? Why did the West do it and why didn't they do it? Why did the West discover their oil for them? Why couldn't they do it themselves? Why did the West discover all of the archaeology in the Middle East, in Egypt, in Iraq, in all of these countries, in Iran? Westerners discovered and studied the ancient archaeology there. The Muslims didn't. They sat on their fat Islamic holy behinds for centuries and ignored what was in their own country. Do you respect someone who doesn't explore their own country, who isn't curious, and who thinks they have everything all figured out? These are people who are talking about the West and passing judgment on the West, and they didn't explore their own country. How stupid is that? Can you believe that someone didn't explore their own country? That Muslims are an example of that. Didn't explore their own country. Species of plant and animal in Islamic countries. Look up the scientific names for them. Look up the research that was done on them. Hardly any of it was done by Muslims. Muslims to this day believe bullshit about animals in their own country. For example, in Iran, they think that snakes are social animals and that they have kings and queens. They believe that snakes get married like husbands and wives, like human beings, and that if you kill one, the other one will get revenge on you. They believe such nonsense. These are people, even upper class Iranians, educated Iranians, who aren't even Islamic believe this crap. Middle Easterners are inferior to Westerners. They're they're incapable of understanding the concept of criticizing and doubt. For them, authority is everything. That's why they have shahs and dictators and ayatollahs. There's really not anything that different between a shah and an ayatollah. Both of them are sitting on their, on some throne and speaking from on high down to the supposedly ignorant people. And everyone is ignorant except themselves. And we all have to know what to think by asking them. That's stupid. My mother's American. I was born in America. I don't believe this bullshit. I don't accept Middle Eastern culture. I don't accept the religion. Middle Eastern Christians are the same, by the way. It's not just all about Islam. Islam is a man-made religion like any other religion, and it was made by Middle Easterners, who also made Christianity and Judaism. All of these Middle Eastern religions are inferior to Western thought, in my opinion. Western thought gave us the Enlightenment. It gave us science. We know about the solar system because of Westerners. We know about the universe because of Westerners and science. Religion has given us nothing. We have had no progress from any religion, Islam or otherwise. So, religion retards progress. It destroys freedom of inquiry. It keeps people from asking questions. It kills curiosity. It makes people think they know everything because they read a book from over 1,000 years ago. A book written by people who knew nothing about anything beyond their little desert that they operated in. People who, if they could be resurrected and see modern society as it is now, would die of a heart attack at the shock of seeing it. Yet we consult their ideas. We believe that the crap that they wrote should control us. That's nonsense. I don't accept that. Several other problems with Islam. Muslims are against things like putting makeup on, women picking their eyebrows. There's a hadith that says that you're not allowed to change the adornment of Allah. So they say a woman shouldn't pluck her eyebrows, a man shouldn't shave, all this other crap. You shouldn't get tattoos. Okay, but at the same time, they tell you that you should circumcise your boy. Okay, that's not changing the adornment, the bodily adornment of Allah, cutting off the foreskin. So Allah didn't know what he was doing when he made the foreskin. And we have to cut it off because he accidentally made it. And he goofed. Dumb old Allah. And we have to, help him out because he forgot to take it off. Isn't that stupid? And they're claiming that Allah is so great that everything he does is correct. But he made the foreskin and we take it off. What is that? It's stupid. There are all these stupid contradictions in every religion, by the way, not just Islam. But the fact that I saw this in Islam, this garbage, made me realize that, hey, what is this crap? I don't want this burdening me. I don't want to have to deal with it. It's bothering me. It's a bothersome thing. It ruins people's lives. It keeps them from progressing. It keeps them from doing things that they could do, that could help themselves, that could help them enjoy their lives and do better. The Islamic world, why is it so retarded? Why has it not progressed? Why do Muslims have to come to the West to make anything of themselves? Because they suck. That's why. They can't do any good in their own societies. They can't build them. They can't make it like the West. The people will talk about resources. That's all very valid. But the Muslims come to the West and they benefit from Western learning. They benefit from Western science and all that. And they hypocritically think that Islam is superior to the West. They hypocritically think that they're superior to Westerners. And they're living here as refugees. They're refugees from their countries. Why do they the dignified term for that that they bestow on themselves is immigrant, but they're refugees. They've fled their countries. They can't make it in their country. They can't become anything in their country. They come here and they hypocritically cling to Islam as though it has done something for them. And it hasn't. It hasn't done anything for them. Their lives have been improved by the West, not by Islam. They're able to get an education here because the Westerners made universities. They made science. They made almost every field of study that Muslims study. Archaeology. The Westerners made that field. It never existed before they made it. But when Muslims want to come from another country like Egypt, from one of their countries, and study their own archaeology, they have to study it in Western universities. Think of how stupid that is. That Muslims have to go to another country to study the ancient history of their own country. Now, isn't that idiotic? How can you respect something like that? People who are so stupid that they didn't study their own ancient history. You expect them to enlighten you? Do you expect these people to teach you? Their stupid idea of themselves is that they're brilliant and you're ignorant. They call the period before Islam Jahiliyyah, and they call people who aren't Muslim unenlightened and all this crap. Self-flattery is a coping mechanism for them to pretend that they're bigger than they are. And in reality, they're crap. They suck. They're stupid. Look at Islamic countries. They're thriving. They can't drive. What, 100 years have passed and these idiots still can't drive. The horrific road safety hazards in any Islamic country. Go there and see. And these people can't live in the modern world. This isn't just one example. And you want them to enlighten you? You want them to spread their wisdom to you? Their wisdom like that? They think they're all brilliant and you're going to be saved by following their bullshit religion. And don't be stupid. Don't be a fool. I'm talking to Westerners here. Your civilization is vastly superior to these idiots. To me, I'll say this, my father's Iranian, and I think that all of those people are just a bunch of sand monkeys. I don't have that much respect for them when I think about these things. And from this standpoint, when they start acting superior to Westerners and they think they're all brilliant and they're all, a big phenomenon, no, they should be humble. They should be thanking the West for rescuing them, for eradicating smallpox in their country, for conquering leprosy and malaria. If it wasn't for Westerners, these guys wouldn't have anything. Muslims wouldn't have anything. They wouldn't be on this internet looking at this video and getting angry if it wasn't for Westerners. And neither would you. That concludes this video. In the next video, I'll get into the details of how Islam condones the killing of apostates. Thanks.